What happens when an all-time great peak is ruined with injury? When a player is clearly one of the greatest scorers and most consistent players in NBA history? Well, you get Kawhi Leonard, one of the toughest players to rank in the NBA, a player that leaves so much to be desired, and a player we know at full strength can still be one of the 10 best players in basketball. And he showed us a few nights ago against Cleveland, going for 33 points on 79% true shooting. So the question I'm asking is, as the season comes to a close and the Los Angeles Clippers are closing in on a playoff berth, how good can Kawhi Leonard be in the playoffs? And the closer we get to the playoffs, Kawhi is ramping up his game more and more. And in the past 12 games, he's averaging 24 points per game, 7 rebounds per game on 51, 41, 73 splits, and 60% true shooting. With Kawhi Leonard's game ramping up, his play style offensively is something I like to call postseason proof. And I know recently the analytics will tell you taking mid-range shots aren't that efficient, unless you're one of the best mid-range scorers in the league, which Kawhi Leonard is. We always talk about how in the playoffs, the game slows down a lot more. And I think Kawhi Leonard has the perfect type of play style to elevate his game in the playoff setting. And these are things that I brought up earlier. The combination of size, ball handling, shooting, and strength will always keep Kawhi as a contender to be one of the better playoff scorers in that setting. And if we take a look at Kawhi Leonard's percentages in the areas of the court, he shoots about 12% of his shots from 0 to 3 feet, which is different from last year where he shot almost 17%. And something like this could be very alarming just because not being able to get to the rim as much as a scorer could be very alarming in the playoffs, and relying on tough mid-range shots can be very alarming in a playoff setting. But if you're Kawhi Leonard and you're such a good mid-range scorer, that could also help. But I would definitely love a little bit more shots at the rim. From here, it looks like he just struggles with the speed and getting around and turning the corner as much as he used to. Here, he's not able to really get past Pascal Siakam, and he settles for a tough shot around the rim with the help from Andrew Nembhard. And if we take a look, he really struggles to turn the corner against Kyle Kuzma as well. He has the tougher defender on Damian Lillard, but they do a really good job just avoiding that matchup. And here, he doesn't get past him fast enough to avoid the help from Brook Lopez. And one thing about it is Kawhi Leonard's almost a 50% shooter on turnaround jump shots. So with his ball handle and his strength, I'm confident that he'll be able to knock down that shot pretty consistently in the postseason. If we take a look at this clip here, he's going to have a really good defender in Jared Vanderbilt on him, and he's going to establish his position right at the right elbow, and he's going to get an entry pass from Chris Dunn, and he's going to go to work immediately. He's going to grab the ball, he's going to size him up, shimmy, get to his spot, and rise right over him, and he's going to knock that down. Here's another look against the Bucks where he's going to be guarded by AJ Green. He has the ball in his hand in the pick and roll, and he's starting out on the right corner. He's going to size him up, take a little drive to the rim, and he's going to fade away here, and he's going to knock that down. So to wrap things up, my question is, how impactful will Kawhi Leonard be in the playoffs as a scorer with his injury history and not being in the playoffs really fully healthy since 2023? And my answer to that question is, I think he's going to be really good. I think Kawhi Leonard's offensive game is something that translates to the playoffs. You talk about a heavy mid-range scorer, a good shooter, a good ball handler with the strength to get almost wherever he wants in the floor. And on the Hoop Talk podcast last Sunday, I talked about Kawhi Leonard being a top 10 scorer in the NBA. And that's something I still truly believe. I think he's a really good off-ball scorer. Just finding his way as an off-ball scorer, finding those gaps in the defense where he can get a good look, I think that's really valuable. I also think that him having the strength to get wherever he wants on the floor, whether it's turnaround jump shots, getting to the rim, finishing in the mid-range, finishing from three, and probably getting to the free throw line a lot more, I think that's something that's going to translate as well. And I also think that he's probably not going to have that much of a scoring load this season on top of having James Harden and Norman Powell in the postseason. And I wouldn't be surprised if James Harden has a really good game in a few games. Norman Powell has a really good game where he just can't miss and he's getting really good looks from three, to where Kawhi Leonard will not have to carry the load like he had to in later years. Now, the biggest thing with Kawhi Leonard is the health. Is he going to be able to be healthy once the playoffs come around? Because right now, if I take a look, right now the Los Angeles Clippers are a half game behind the Golden State Warriors and tied for the 8th seed with the Minnesota Timberwolves. And this could go a lot of ways. They could get the 8th seed and play the Oklahoma City Thunder. They could play the Houston Rockets if they stay at the 7th seed, or they could play the Denver Nuggets if they move up to the 6th seed. And I truly think that the Clippers' goal is to stay out of the play-in. If they could just take as much games away from Kawhi Leonard as possible so they can keep him healthy for this postseason run, I think that's a win. And to be completely honest, I'd rather see the Denver Nuggets defense than the Houston Rockets defense and the Oklahoma City Thunder's defense. And we just saw a couple nights ago him play against the Oklahoma City Thunder, and I just think the Oklahoma City Thunder have a lot of bodies to throw at him. But that's not always the greatest thing, because I saw him get lined up against Lou Dort. I think he may just have a little bit more size than Lou Dort when I talk about his height and his wingspan, and it's going to be really tough for Lou Dort to contest that shot. I saw some minutes with Alex Caruso on him. I saw some minutes with Kenrich Williams on him, and I think he just has the right combination of size, strength, and length, like I've been saying all episode, for him to really be successful against the Oklahoma City Thunder defense. As for the Houston Rockets, I think Dillon Brooks might be the best matchup for Kawhi Leonard, maybe Amen Thompson if Amen Thompson starts in that series. But once again, I think Kawhi Leonard has the right combination of size and strength to really body up Amen Thompson, and I think he has the quickness for Dillon Brooks. That's why I say the Nuggets would be the best matchup for Kawhi defensively, just because I don't know how many perimeter defenders they're going to be able to throw on Kawhi Leonard. Maybe Peyton Watson gets some run at him, maybe Aaron Gordon, maybe Michael Porter Jr. So you can really match up that length towards Kawhi, or you put Christian Brown on him. But I think Kawhi has a little bit more inches on Christian Brown. But if we just take a look at a first round matchup, I don't think they can beat OKC, and I don't think they'll beat Denver. But if they were to play Houston, I do think they have the right amount of offense to be able to beat Houston in a 7-game series. And you also have to account for James Harden getting Kawhi some really good looks. You have to also account for Kawhi Leonard being a really good pick and roll scorer, to where you can get Alperen Sengun out in space as much as you possibly can. And I think the same could be said for the Denver Nuggets. Get Nikola Jokic out in space as much as you can. We're talking about guys who aren't the best in drop coverage, and Kawhi Leonard is one of the best mid-range scorers in the league. So all in all, ladies and gentlemen, I think Kawhi Leonard is going to be really good in the playoffs. I know we do this every single year where Kawhi Leonard looks good during the regular season, and during the playoffs, he just doesn't play. But I think if he was fully healthy for the Los Angeles Clippers in this playoff run, I think they can win a playoff series if they see the right opponent. And I do think either way, Kawhi Leonard is going to be really good. I don't think they'll see the Lakers. I don't think they'll see the Warriors. I don't think they'll see the Memphis Grizzlies. But I just believe in Kawhi Leonard's offensive play style for it to transfer in the postseason. We've seen it happen multiple times. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys like this type of content, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you guys subscribe on your way out. Make sure you guys like the video, and make sure you guys check out some other videos that I have on this channel. I'm not going to be doing daily uploads as much as I used to, just because my schedule is pretty hectic and I want to put out the best content I possibly will. And doing daily uploads doesn't really do that, or it doesn't really help me in that aspect. So once again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe on your way out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.